Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting, adventurous episode of the Early Morning Barking Podcast, talking about BPD and NPD by somebody that has both. Today, I'm going over NPD and exploitative behavior, the narcissist and their exploitative behavior. Well, isn't that just what we're famous for? Isn't that what we're known for, our exploitative behavior? And believe you me when I say I have done this one. And this takes many interesting forms. It comes in many shapes and sizes. We can, we exploit people in many different ways. And I think when we're talking about exploiting people, what we're really talking about is controlling people to our benefit, right? Controlling people in a way that we get something out of, whatever that may be. Really what we're talking about is manipulation to our own end. And it's such a horrible, divisive way of treating people. We might do it in a nice way. We might do it in a harsh way. Whatever we feel needs to be done, whatever is our particular style. I think those of us who are particularly skilled at it are good at doing it, changing the way we do it in order to get what we want out of a person. And we're able to do this. I mean, first of all, you have the sort of moral standing behind it all. Is it right to control and manipulate a person to my benefit? To exploit them to get something out of it? Well, the narcissist may tell you, yeah. Because we look down on everyone. We're superior to everyone, right? Everyone is less than us. So, you ride horses, you use animals in farm work, or we used to, I suppose, What's the difference? That's sort of the attitude, Horses pull carts. What's your problem? And it's not that we necessarily see ourselves as evil or anything like, let's be honest, we never see ourselves as evil. But we're able to see ourselves as above. And so that brings with it the ability to exploit. I mean, God, look for further evidence of this. Look at human history, right? There has been a very long time when the exploiting is not just down to those of us with NPD. What it comes from is one person feeling superior and better than another and deciding it's okay if I exploit you in whatever way I see fit. This is slavery, isn't it? That's what we're talking about here. That's the same attitude. So, on an individual basis, and of course, race has nothing to do with this. On an individual basis, the narcissist feels superior to everyone. So, of course, we can exploit you to get what we want out of you. And it gives us that nice narcissistic buzz as well, because when we get it, it proves that we're right. Look, you did what we wanted you to. Therefore, we're awesome. I don't know why we're suddenly a we. My inner monologue is a we. It's not me. It's someone else. It's weird. But that's where that attitude comes from. And look at the ways we can exploit you. This can go from exploiting friends, making them behave in a way that we want, dress in a way we want, look a way we want, behave in a way we want, do the things we want, making people just do things for us, making people give us things. All the obvious ways, but then in other less obvious ways, hurting people to get what we want, making people feel bad to get what we want out of them, to stop them doing something that we don't want them to keep doing. All of these things. The ways in which we can exploit people are vast and numerous. And we manage to find a way. It's impossible to sit here and say why we do each individual thing, right? And that will be down to the individual people who are doing it. Each person with NPD has their own reasons. But ultimately, what this all boils down to for the person with NPD is a whole lot of shame and guilt about something and fear. There will have been traumas around not getting what you want in some way, shape, or form. A prolonged, horrid trauma around that. But this is one of those that sort of comes out of the other things. You know, it's a sort of standout thing that we're being exploitative because we feel we can, because we have these other problems caused by this other trauma. There can be a long way to this. It's sort of much in the same way that unstable relationships in BPD are the result of the other elements of BPD causing those relationships to be unstable. Exploitative behavior in people with NPD is very much the same thing. This is something else that has caused us to be in this state, to be able to do this. And so, just like every other element of NPD, when you track it back, when you follow the money, so to speak, where does this come? What am I reacting to? What am I doing? Where does this, what is the trauma? Then the exploitative behavior, that way of treating people, sort of dropped off for me. It wasn't hard to stop manipulating people. In actual fact, the bit of it that took the longest was to figure out all the ways in which I did it. You know? All the ways in which I treated people to get what I wanted out of them. Because, as I say, vast and numerous. And it's realizing that behaviors I saw as everyday, normal, acceptable, good behavior was actually screwed up. The way I was talking to people, the way I was treating people, all of that sort of thing. It was a mess. And it took so much longer to pick it apart and realize, oh God, that's exploiting people. Oh, and that's manipulating people. Oh, and that's treating people horribly. You know, part of therapy, as I've always said, is this initial shock with the NPD side of just how bad you've been. It's a shock. It's disturbing because underneath, we're not bad people. Underneath, inside, we don't really want to hurt anyone. We know what pain is. But we do it. And we do it defensively out of that shame and guilt, like I say. But we do it. And we hurt others. And finding out just how much we've hurt others is soul destroying. That, for me, was the hardest part of therapy by a long shot. Yeah, I'm not discounting what it takes for a person to work through trauma. That's a very difficult and hard thing. But for me to, you know, perhaps it's a sign that my trauma wasn't as bad as my guilt. But for me, at least with trauma, you kind of can deal with the fact that while it's something horrible, it happened to you. It wasn't your fault. Whereas learning about all the bad things you've done, all the hurt and harm that you've caused, you did that. You are finding out that you are a horrible person and have been disgusting to people and caused so much pain and suffering. You just turn around and it's suddenly shocked to see this wake of destruction left behind you because you didn't realize it was there. It's a disturbing notion, and this exploitative behavior is a big part of all of that. It's the stuff that we use to hurt the most, because ultimately we get what we want. I mean, this is the question that you have to ask. Why are narcissists exploitative? Why would narcissists not be exploitative? We think we're better than everyone. We're cool with it. Why would we not be? There's actually very little explanation to this, because what happens is, over time, throughout your life, those of us who are inclined to be manipulative learn better ways of doing it. We aren't necessarily all good at it all of the time, but a lot of us become very good and very skilled at it. And when you do things and you know, when you want something out of a person and you manage to get it, and you get that little buzz of, oh my God, I'm so cool. Look, I did that. He did the thing I wanted him to do. Then you want to do that again and again and again. And eventually you get more and more of what you want. And that in itself is inspiring. It drags you on. It brings you on. It makes you want to do it more because we're getting what we want. That's exciting, isn't it? That's amazing stuff. So why would the narcissist who can do that not do that? Of course we do that. Of course we do. It's easy and we don't care. You're just cattle to us. So why would we care? The exploitative behavior, like I say, comes from the aloofness, the feelings of superiority, and indeed the potential lack of empathy there. That helps a great deal. And so, of course, we're manipulative. Of course, we have exploitative behavior. It's what we do. But it can be trained out. You just have to pull it apart. This is what I enjoyed most about group therapy. That other people were there to help me with this kind of thing, right? It's this kind of thing that it was a great benefit to have a whole room full of people who I could basically say, is this bad? Is this bad? What about that? And they would look at me, and some of them would look on in horror, and others would shake their head and just like, no, Rich, you can't, you mustn't do that. And that sort of thing. And it was fine. It was helpful. And I don't think I'd have got that from a one-on-one with a therapist. I don't know. I never had the one-on-one therapy, so maybe I would have. But that was something I feel was a benefit of a group. You have that sounding board of multiple people. And of course, you don't always get the same opinions. It's like Ask the Audience on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Is that a thing still, or is that an old reference? You get a broken, but you know what you're doing. It helps. It helps to get all these points of view. So it can be broken down. We don't have to be horrible forever. But I do warn you, it is horrible to face up to. But let me reassure you with this. If facing up to the bad things you've done hurts you, then ultimately you are a good person. If you were a bad person, you genuinely wouldn't care. Or worse still, you'd delight in the pain that you'd caused, maybe, But we're talking about you feeling bad about the hurt that you've caused, and that means you care. And none of us are perfect beings. Some of us spend years, the majority of our lives, broken, doing things wrong. And all we can do is do our best to stop doing those bad things from now on. Because you're not going to go away. You're still there. You've got to live your life, right? So there's no point in hiding away or just getting caught up in the guilt and shame. You just got to go on it, and you've got to identify those exploitative behaviors and not do them to people. And I'll be honest, sometimes it wants to come out. Sometimes it's, I don't know, a behavior that craves to be used. And I try not to let it. There is a dam holding it back. And for me, that dam is very much in place. It's a very strong, very good dam. And I think you can build a dam too. That's my final thought of the day. Isn't that lovely? Go and check out the YouTube video that I made of this, NPD and exploitative behavior, back in August 2020. where I talked about it with much less experience and knowledge under my belt and being in the thick of it. I think I'll put a link in the description and that sort of thing. And go and visit my YouTube channel, Early Morning Barking. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, to everything. Follow me on Twitter at Barking. All of the things. Oh, and I have a Patreon, don't forget, and one-to-ones are available. Go and visit earlymorningbarking.com. And you'll see a link where you can book an appointment to have a chat with me about BPD or NPD and just talk with someone who has the same experience and knows what you're going through. I like to think I help. Everyone who's done it seems very happy. Let me put it that way. Anyway, I'm going to go now. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.